we hear? Ah, you heard my call. You're imbalanced Swampy.
How would Swampy looking for stuff? It calls to you.
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. We're excited for you to join us this week. We have lots of things to talk about. Let me go ahead and introduce the other hosts. North of me, up in Vancouver, we got Taylor.
Hello.
All the way across the pond, headed back to where are you headed back to,
Wales,
Jack?
Mate.
Brecon, Wales. And then here in Kansas, I'm Jimmy. And like I said, we're glad that you guys have joined us again this week. We have lots of stuff to talk about. Just making sure that you guys realize, too, we're a podcast that comes out on Tuesdays. And on Fridays, we drop the YouTube version of our show, which will have some videos, some pictures, things like that, not just our pretty faces to stare at. So
we know that's the only reason why you watch it.
But we're going to go ahead and dive right in here. So let's go ahead and explore the Force.
Yeah. So, guys, how are you this week?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you very much. Usual week at work for myself. However, next week's my birthday, and I've had a little bit of a birthday celebration this weekend. Nothing too heavy. It's also been my dad's 80th. So happy birthday to him. I'm sure he'll be listening. And yeah, next Wednesday's the big one for me, 33.
Whoa, you're so old. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
I'm just a baby.
I'm right behind you. Don't worry.
How about you, Taylor? How was your week?
My week was good. It was really hot here in Vancouver. As you know, I work outside, so I got myself a good sunburn. Yeah, I think I went a whole day without drinking water. Made myself feel like garbage. Everybody drink water, okay? It's no joke. But otherwise, good week.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a pretty busy week again. The swim team season is finally over. I spent 3 days in our state capital with 15 teenage girls competing at the state meet. They did really well. Pretty excited for them. You know, it was a good send-off for all of our seniors. And now we have 3 more days, well, 2.5 days of school left, and then I am free.
Yeah.
So very, very excited. We're going to change up the order of things a little bit today, since a lot of our talking points are going to be from the news. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into our weekly Force encounters. Who had a great a Force encounter this week they want to talk about?
I did. So I went to Star Wars Trivia Night at the Highwayman Pub in Abbotsford this week. I've never been to a Trivia Night before, so I honestly had no idea what to expect. I met up with a couple of our listeners, which was fun, and I embarrassed the crap out of them. That's just me. So I'm the one yelling all of the puns and Star Wars jokes and stuff, and from the top floor. But we did really good. For the trivia night, we actually used our Explore the Force name. So it was pretty much, It was like Explore the Force podcast in 3rd place. And we were having so much fun. In the end of it, we were around 3rd place, our team. But because there was just such a big gap, it was like we have to bet all of our, like a bunch of our points for the last question so that we could possibly win or not win. But, so we did. And I was so confident. The question was, what does Chirrut say repeatedly in Rogue One? And I was like, oh yeah, bet it all. I know. I was like, bet it all. But I think I had way too many Coronas. And I wrote on the answer sheet, the Force, I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. So I ended up losing it for our team. But the other, I know. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I was like, yeah, we did it. Yeah. No one's ever gonna want me on their team again. But we got a lot of the questions like 10 out of 10 for each category, which was like super cool. And we kept getting shout outs all night, and people were coming and asking for our cards. And I was like talking to people in like the washroom lineup about it. And I met a lot of cosplayers and I got some photos. And at the very end, when the one team called Sith Happens, they named themselves, shout out guys,
Very good name.
when they got their winning photos at the front on the stage, I like jumped up there, of course, and was like pretending to be in their group. So that was great. I had a lot of fun. I'll definitely do another one of those again. And it was nice meeting lots of you guys out there. Jack, what about you?
About you, Jack?
Nothing major really like that. I come home to my 7-year-old singing the Imperial March after I was singing it in the car, which I thought was very odd. But that was pretty much it, to be honest.
All right.
Nice.
I had two this weekend, actually. One was a complete surprise. So we have preliminary rounds on Friday, and then if you make finals the next day, the top 16 come back, and whoever's seated first in their event gets to do the walkout music. And this girl who broke 2 state records, which is not something that happens very often. I'm sitting there, we're getting ready to go out to watch her swim because she's impressive. She's from another school, but all of a sudden the Imperial March comes on.
That's so weird.
And I was like, oh, like it was so crazy. And I was like, let's go. You know, I was cheering for this kid that I had never met. And all my girls and my coaches all looked at me. I'm like, yes, it's my song. So I always joke that's what plays when I walk into places. And then, we spent a lot of time in the hotel going to dinners and things like that. And I had some downtime. I was just kind of messing around on YouTube. And you guys know who Adam Savage from Mythbusters is? You guys watch Mythbusters?
Yes.
Okay. I've been a huge fan. He came on, they went on tour, him and Jamie, before they ended. And now he has a show called Tested on YouTube. And I always watch. He does a lot of Star Wars stuff. So if you're a fan of Star Wars and you're a fan of watching people make some really cool things, you should check out his channel, Tested. But he has an hour and 25-minute video of him building his own lightsaber. And we're talking from like a thick tube of aluminum that he has to hollow out. It's incredible what the guy can do and his love for Star Wars. I'll put the link for that video in our YouTube channel so you guys can just click on that and go check it out. It's really cool if you've got some background noise or something like that. But yeah, so I had a couple pretty cool Force encounters there this weekend. So
nice.
It was a good week.
Yeah. Always a good week.
Cool. So a little bit of breaking news coming from Batu this week then is the closure of the Galactic Star Wars Hotel, obviously with its high prices and inflation now. But more on that later on. We'll look at that. Also, the outcry from Freddie Prinze Jr. Most of you know played or voiced Kanan in Star Wars Rebels. But again, that's going to be another topic that we're going to cover later on. And last thing we're going to cover very, very briefly is the Star Wars Shatterpoint tabletop game. And that's being released the 2nd of June. On that, I'm very, very lucky. I'm going to go to my local game store, Boards and Swords in Derby. A couple of the listeners are from there. We're going to get a sneak preview. I'm also going to be able to play it as well. I've also got it pre-ordered. But yeah,
nice.
So we're getting some videos, some early sneak peeks, pictures. I'll let you know what the game's like. And also, on top of that, I've got a close friend that does the painting phase also on the YouTubes. He's a professional painter of miniatures and tabletop miniatures. And hopefully he'll be putting together a few recipes for everybody. So again, anyone collecting Shatterpoint and is curious how you paint certain people, characters, or clone troopers, etc., those painting recipes will be up on the page at some point for us. So that's all the breaking news from me.
That is very cool. All right.
Thank you, Jack.
Taylor, do you want to dive into your big topic for this week?
My topic is the closing of the Halcyon Star Cruiser, which we have all seen 1,000 times from 1,000 different people shouting it out. But I kind of wanted to dig into it a little bit because it actually is a super cool like concept. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to go to this hotel. Like, let's be honest, it's a hotel with a whole bunch of big screens and monitors, and you just get to look at monitors of space all day long. But apparently the ship you would meet at your docking bay shuttle at like 1 to 4 on your first day. So consider, okay, 3 days. This trip is 3 days long. Your first day, you are going to show up at the shuttle, which is going to take you onto the Halcyon. And you're supposed to be there from 1 to 4. I don't know if you have to be there at a certain time yet, like a booking time, because I know you take these shuttles, which is like, I think max like 8 people. You just sit in it and really it just shakes a little bit and then it opens up on the other side and you're there. It's very immersive. It's very, very immersive. But the part that annoyed me was that you get there from 1 to 4 on the first day. The second day, your whole day is immersed in Star Wars. You go to Batuu, you go on the Rise of Resistance ride at specific booked times. So it's part of the story of the ship when you're on it. And then shortly after, you head over to Smuggler's Run. Apparently, you get a special storyline. Like, I know there's like 2 storylines, or I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge yet. I know. We're gonna go one day. We're all gonna meet there one day. Don't worry. But apparently the storyline is a little bit different to go along with your story on the Halcyon. So it's like a pre-booked time, so you don't have to wait in the big lineups. You go with your groups, or about to 8 people at a time. And then you have dinner, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, you get up from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. You have your breakfast. You get an hour to have breakfast on your third day, and then you grab your stuff and you're gone. So you're paying $6,000 if you have a family of 3 or 4 or 5, $6,000 for a day. A day. They say 3 days, 2 nights. Yes, it's 2 nights, but one day you're throwing yourself in there for the first time. You have to go through the muster point safety talk for about 35 minutes when you first get there. And then you're walking around trying to figure out where you are. And I mean, really, honestly, really, you're paying for one day. And that ouch, right?
I don't understand how that's sustainable. I mean, obviously it's
evidently
not
it's not.
But...
So I put out a poll, and this is what the listeners thought. We asked a poll whether or not the Halcyon closing was inevitable. 70% of our listeners said yes, it was inevitable. So everyone kind of guessed this. Let's keep in mind that this opened March 1st, 2022. It's closing September 30th. The very last voyage is going to be September 30th of 2023. So I don't know. 5% of our listeners said no, the closing of the Halcyon was not inevitable. So those are our rich followers. And 25% of you said, I was still saving up to go, which, I mean, I wasn't actively saving up, but I was hoping I would be.
Don't they have the
one of our listeners?
Don't they have the 10 grand cocktail there?
Yeah, and it's like
That's
Kyber crystal.
$10,000 for a drink.
Yeah, I think it started off as like $9,000, and then they changed it to 10 because you get to keep the ice cream maker that it all comes in.
Oh, the Kamatoan one. Is this a Bob Chapek or Bob Iger creation? Do we know who was running Disney when this thing was invented or created? I mean,
I think it was
Iger originally, correct? Because
yeah. So
it seems like a weird move for someone who was in tune with the stuff as well as he is.
Well, apparently there's a lot of changes going on in Disney. Like, they're taking shows off Disney Plus, and they're changing a lot of things in Black Spire. Won't get into that today, and yeah, they're closing the Halcyon, and they were not afraid to just say it's closing, like under a year. I want to know how much they lost.
And let's not forget, I'm pretty sure
Like-
not long ago there was an announcement that they were laying off a lot of staff. I think it was Disney, or it might have been Hasbro I'm thinking about.
No, Disney had it too.
Mhm.
They had a big bunch of cuts, and that was, I mean, everywhere from people that worked
Yeah.
at the parks through their Marvel and Lucasfilm subsidiaries, like all the stuff that they own. I think they were going and trying to show, and I don't know if this was under Iger or Chapek, but they were trying to show save money because things hadn't been going well.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys have been to the parks lately. I haven't gone just as like a, hey, I'm taking my family on vacation. We went during Anaheim Celebration. We went to Star Wars night, so we didn't really have to worry about a fast pass or anything like that. I mean, we paid, it's like $175 a ticket to get in that night. But from what I hear, people, friends and family members that go down there, it has gotten super complicated. You've got fast passes, and you've got these other passes that jump those passes.
Magic bands.
I don't know enough, but it seems very, very complicated. And maybe this is a chance for them to reshuffle some things and possibly streamline a few things, hopefully, to make because I can't even imagine taking a family of 4 down there, how hectic a vacation is. And then, honestly, right after COVID happened, my wife and I were planning a trip to go to Disney because I want to go to Galaxy's Edge. And we started adding things up, and it got to the point where I was like, this is ridiculous. And then when we flew to London for Celebration Europe, it cost us almost nothing as compare. Our flights cost as much as the, flights and the Airbnb and all the stuff that we did hanging out. Wasn't even a dent in what would it cost to go to Disney for 4 or 5 days. So
yeah, I've been looking at Galaxy's Edge for ages. I'm sure I totaled things up, and it come between 6 to 10 grand for me, my wife, and my 2 kids. That is without putting in the cost as well for food and drink each day. I'm always watching TikTok videos and YouTube videos, and I seen she get these little cool Coca-Cola bottles. I think it was like $6 for a Coca-Cola bottle, but only $5 for a water. And that's just like, I haven't got enough organs to sell to get this trip funded.
Oh my god! Yeah, goodness. Honestly, I was telling my husband the price of going to the Halcyon or going to Galaxy's Edge, and he said, if we could afford to go to that hotel or Galaxy's Edge and do all of the things that I want to do, we'd be going to Hawaii instead. Don't get me wrong, he's a Star Wars fan too, but
it would probably be cheaper to go to Hawaii.
That's why I'm waiting. I'm going to play my cards because I'm going to the Grand Canyon with the Army, luckily, in September. So we're going to see. I'm going to see if there's some time off before or after. And if there's enough time off and I'm that close, I'm just going for it.
Do it. Live stream.
Well, if it happens, it happens. Yeah.
So they're gonna any plans to just open this place up as a hotel, or are they going to try to restructure it? I had heard rumors, and I don't know if this is true at all. Again, this is something I've heard on other podcasts and things like that. That it only was on the weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that true?
No idea.
Surely not, because your whole time that the Halcyon was only open because it's a 3-day thing. Like they don't have other crews coming in, so like you're there for 3 days and no one else comes aboard.
That makes sense.
When you ship out, do they ship a whole new crew in and reset everything? Or was it really only open for like 3 days?
No, it was actually open during the week as well. So a weekday trip would have been cheaper than going on the weekend. So these prices of like $5,200, like I'm looking at the website from Canada over here. I doubt this is Canadian dollars, let's be honest. But yeah, it would have been, I think, $1,200 more a person to go on the weekend trip. Brutal.
I didn't realize.
Brutal.
Yeah, that is.
But
That is a
I mean,
lot.
let's look at what's included. Okay, so what was actually included if you were to go on the Halcyon Star Cruiser? Valet parking. So valet parking is actually how you get how you get there. There's no choice really. That's how they would keep people who weren't actually paying to go on it from getting pictures in front of the Star Cruiser. So you have to park your car and they take you over there. And then somehow your bags like just show up in your room. Like you don't need to check in or anything. Like they must do some kind of tagging. I don't even know. So you would get the valet parking. You don't have to actually worry about your car getting broken into because, I mean, that still happens in places. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner were included. Breakfast and lunch was always going to be a buffet. So yeah, nothing like super crazy, but I think the buffet would be the same both days because really. The dinner I think would change, but alcoholic beverages and special drinks and like the dessert menus they were extra cost for sure. Admission includes 1 day into Galaxy's Edge, one set time, ride on the Rise of Resistance, and Smuggler's Run. You get lightsaber training. I don't know if that means you get to make your own lightsaber and take it home. I don't think so. But apparently, as you do this lightsaber training, you start to be able to feel the Force. I don't know if that's you can feel vibrations in the lightsaber after a while, and you can, hit the lights that are shooting at you. But apparently, you start to feel the Force. There's bridge training, which I believe happens when a certain group of evil people come onto the ship and try to take over, and the guests have to jump on the cannons, which seems a little odd, but so apparently you get taught how to work all these cannons and how to drive the ship and blah 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 before any of this happens. Not to give it away if anybody's actually going on it, but I mean the website told me this. I didn't go. So you get sabacc lessons, and then on the second day there's a sabacc tournament, and it's like it's holographic sabacc.
Oh, nice.
So I'm looking at it and you can see your cards kind of just like lifted up in front of you, but how can the person across from you not see it? I don't understand that part. Like I was looking at the concept art for it and it's like I literally could look across and see that person's cards. I mean, but they also had like actual droids walking around in the concept art, which they don't have. Right. And there's a droid racing competition, which I think they do that at Galaxy's Edge as well. But they
did
had
it at
that
Celebration as well. It's quite a novice thing to put together.
Is it
it's
actually?
really easy, yeah.
Is it great? Oh, great!
Yeah, it's really for the kids.
Yeah, a lot of it's
They
gotta
get to
be
go
for
and
the
race
kids,
No wonder
right?
that.
Like, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, like, I was looking at the food that they serve on because it's like. It was like foods across the galaxy, and it has like all different themed foods from like different planets, from like Mon Calamari, which is probably gonna be like the seafood plate, and anyways, they had a bunch of stuff, but I looked at it all, and there's not a single thing on that menu that my daughter would eat. If we go and I'm spending $2,000 on a dinner, and my kid won't eat any of it, like, can I just get some craft dinner over here at table 6? Like. I don't know. But you know what? The menu also did say that they have your planet's food favorites as well. So I think you can get cheeseburgers, hot dogs, stuff like that as well. But really, those blue shrimp look gross. Not saying I wouldn't eat them. I'd definitely try them.
The theme stuff.
But
The theme food stuff's fantastic.
I like food in general. I will probably eat anything. Yep, I'll eat anything. I like food. But it just looks freaky. And it looks like there's like an extreme amount of food dye in everything. So, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, right. Like, do I even want my kid eating 4 pounds of blue food dye in one night? I don't know. Do you guys have any questions? I feel like I've been on this ship, but I actually haven't. I looked into it so much, I just want to cry.
It does sound great. It does sound great.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of the stuff that you get in there as well, the access to Batu itself, the Galaxy's Edge stuff. I sort of see why it justifies itself as well, then into the price. Because like we're talking about just about Galaxy's Edge, I think it was like $1,000 for a ticket or 2 people to get in. So I can see why that'd cost so much. Well, that's a lot of work for you're going on a cruise, not like a normal ship cruise or an intergalactic ship cruise. You're jumping on all these calendars and lightsabers. You imagine taking 2 young kids and thinking, "I'm going on a nice relaxing cruise." Oh, man, the cannons, let's go! Oh my god. My wife would have a fit.
We have 45 minutes to eat breakfast. Let's
Could you
go.
imagine? Oh, fantastic.
Oh my god. Look out, you've got a blaster pointed at your head. Like
it's making me think, is it an actual close down, shut down, done, never again? Or is it just going to be a close down, a revamp / update?
it's permanently closing.
Okay.
Disney has confirmed it is closing permanently. Like that.
Well, the Halcyon's closing permanently, but I mean, they could turn that into one of the resorts or something like that. I mean, they have all those resorts. You can still upcharge a little bit for it because it's Star Wars.
Probably
themed.
like an additional add-on.
Well,
I'm sure that Bob
probably like an additional add-on then to Galaxy's Edge or something if it's quite close.
Maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
I think.
Were you guys surprised?
I don't know. Like, honestly, when I saw the news, I was like, oh my god, what? But at the same time, you're like, it was so expensive. I don't know anybody who was actually going to be able to go. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying I know a ton of people or anything, but I know a lot of Star Wars friends, Star Wars fans across the world, and not any of them has ever said that they were planning on going to it.
No.
Like, I mean, we have our poll says like, oh, I was still saving up for it. Yeah, I could be saving up for it for the next 10 years and probably still not get to go on a zookeeper's salary.
I was surprised.
Like, I mean, yeah.
What did?
Yeah, I was quite surprised.
You were surprised, Jack?
A bit naive, if I'm honest, because I was thinking like Disney has some sort of infinite money because obviously all the Star Wars merchandise they pump out and people buying it and the films, the TV, etc., etc. I was quite surprised. But 10 grand for a cocktail. When I saw that put me off straight away. I thought that is ridiculous. But then to get not even really a year, well, just over a year, and then they announce, right, yeah, that's it, it's done. That's a bit of a shock, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it'll have been open for like what 1 year, 6 months roughly, by the time it shuts in September. So yeah, I honestly, being from the States, that trip, our flight wouldn't be that expensive. But I think about anyone flying internationally, trying to come in to and come into the States to do it. I mean, unless you're a king or queen from some country, I'm not seeing how you're going to be able to afford that with any kind of, with your kids or anything like that. Did we have any, I know you took that, we had that poll on, was it Instagram? Taylor, did we get any people's opinions?
I did. So, and also just to add on to that, if I wanted to fly to Florida to go on this $6,000 trip, it'd be an extra $1,200 a person to fly there, like just to get there. Like that's like, So first off, we have It's Only Jamie 1. He said, sadly, it was inevitable. We have The Swedish Jedi saying, unsurprising, simple as that. Matilda is great. Check out her page. Her kids are hilarious. She does a lot of her own little videos and clips and stuff, so she's great. Hi, Matilda.
Yeah, she has a great Instagram page you should check out. She always writes articles and things like that. She has a lot.
Yeah, and she involves her whole family with it too. It's great. And we also have The Mandalorian. I'm not surprised. Personally, I think if they had lowered the cost per person or put out offers, it would have made it more achievable and more inviting for people to book. It's true. Why didn't they have like discount days or, I don't know, anything like that would have made it a little bit cheaper? Like, like no food included. I don't know, bring your own snacks, whatever. But they did have, like, I did look into it to see how it could be cheaper. And the cheapest way I could find was there was a suite that you could rent on the Halcyon, and it fit up to 8 people. So you could have 8 of your friends, and 2 of these are like pull-out beds that like fall off the wall. So it's like you're sleeping on a futon in this $6,000 hotel. But then it would have been, I think, I worked it out too, it would have been only $2,200 a person. But then again, you're sharing a room with 8 people. So, but actually one of the things about the Halcyon was that you're always sharing stuff with other families. So you'd never have your own dinner table. It'd be like you having a big round dinner table with probably 2 other families. And you do your little experiences and lightsaber things, and you're never alone. You're never alone. You're always with somebody. So I don't know if maybe bringing like 7 of your besties might have helped, but I mean, I don't have a whole lot of friends, so that wouldn't have worked out for me. But Martin Mead, Mito, he's been a constant supporter of us since we started our show this month. And no, Mito, you are awesome. Also, we're going to be having Martin on the show in the future to talk about his Star Wars 365 and Star Wars item a day. Follow Martin on Instagram at the Meadalorian. I am in love with his shirts that he wears every week or every day.
That guy has the best
t-shirts.
Yeah. Mita could have saved it.
I think about halfway. Mito should have started. Yes, he could have saved it for him. He's going to come on the show. We're trying to lock him down for a halfway point, see where he's at mentally, see where he's, if he has a list. I'm curious as to how he's been doing it. But yeah, so we're excited.
If he's not too famous for us.
Anything else if he's not too famous for us by then. Anything else on the Halcyon, you guys? I know there's just
there
a
was
lot.
so much, but I just want to say one of my favorite parts about the Halcyon. So I did do a little bit of research about it, which honestly just made me sad thinking about how I'm not going to be able to do it. But when you're booking your trip, you can choose how much immersibility, words speaking, how much you want to be involved in the storyline. So the Halcyon is actually an immersive storyline. So this is your own story. It is canon. Okay. I mean, you specifically aren't, but this story is canon, and you would go in, you can talk to the captain, you can sit at the captain's table if you pay an extra like $1,400 per person. But if you chat with the characters, there are characters walking around, paid actors walking around on this ship constantly. Chat with all of them. You can open up secret doors that look like janitor closets and stuff, and you can find secret rebel people inside. You can steal a ship from the First Order while in Galaxy's Edge. Excuse me. And you can sneak it onto the ship, the Halcyon. I do not know how to do that. I know that you do learn how to, they teach you how to load a ship on and take a ship off at the Halcyon. So I'm sure they show you that. And then later you have the option to help out the Resistance, or you can be a part of the First Order. You can help them out. You can be the spy. I'm the spy. But like, I think you can even they arrest Chewbacca and you can sneak on and like let him off and like be part of the story. Or you can just sit back and watch and just drink your $10,000 shot if you want to and just watch. But I loved that you can literally have a different story than like the person who's sleeping in the same room with you, and you wouldn't even know it. So you could be contacting the Resistance behind the scenes. There's also a phone with voicemail in your room, which you're like, why would we need that? But it's actually so that like the Resistance and the First Order can contact you when you're on your room. So it's kind of cool. It really is immersive. It would be so fun to be on there. And they really want you to dress the part. So you can dress as Star Warsy crazy as you want. You can dress as a rebel, starfighter pilot, or you can dress as like totally a First Order supporter. I don't know. I'm just sad because I would have loved to do it. I would have been like in with the First Order and then also with the rebellion at the same time. Like I would have been playing both sides. Oh, would have been great. But anyways, now that I'm gonna go cry because I'm never gonna get to go on this. What else do we got?
Well, that means you can just start saving up for
Yeah.
Japan in 2 years.
Yeah.
It'll probably be cheaper to go to Japan celebration than it will be to go to the Halcyon.
I'm gonna get lost.
So there was another. We mentioned this next story on last week's episode, so this news is a little bit old. I kind of want to dive into it though because I thought it was quite interesting. Freddie Prinze Jr. of Kanan. I'm going to show you guys a clip before we dive into this. Spoiler alert, spoiler warning, whatever. If you have not watched Rebels, we're going to probably ruin
Skip
some stuff
forward
for you.
10 minutes.
But this is going to be, 10 minutes at least. And I'm going to show you guys this.
22 pickup? Care to let me in on the secret?
Kid, I'm about to let everyone in on the secret. All troopers, focus your fire on the Jedi.
All right. I don't know about you guys, but the music alone in that clip got me fired up. This would have been the first Jedi we have seen. I mean, other than Ahsoka, when we didn't even know. Again, like I said, spoiler alerts. But so Kanan would have been the first Jedi that we've seen outside of Luke Skywalker after Order 66 on animation or movies. So pretty big deal. Obviously, they have 4 seasons of Rebels, and now we're getting the Ahsoka show. That some of these characters are going to be coming from that show, and you're going to see some of them in this Ahsoka. You've seen them already in the preview, so we're not really spoiling that. But a few days ago, Kristian Harloff from the Big Thing podcast on YouTube, you probably heard of him. He was on Collider for a while. He was also, the Kristian Harloff show, the Schmoedowns. This guy, he's been in Star Wars. He's been a lot of, he always knows what's going on. He and Freddie Prinze Jr. worked WWE together. They're pretty good friends. He comes on, and they have about an hour and a half long conversation, and most of it is all about WWE and wrestling and their love for horror movies. I accidentally was watching it, skipped over the part I was looking for. So if you go back and watch it, and I'll link it to in the YouTube down below, so you can check this out. But the clip is only 15, 20 seconds. It seemed like, it was quick about his talking with Lucasfilm. And so the article, and then Screen Rant wrote an article, kind of brought it up. And if you just read the article, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about, the headline is their favors are all used up, and that why one Star Wars Rebels actor is not returning for Ahsoka. And then on that article, they have Hera, Sabine, and Ahsoka. And as you scroll down, you can see some of his comments, but we'll get into those. How do you guys feel about Kanan, first of all? Like Freddie Prinze's portrayal of Kanan?
Did
you guys like Rebels?
I thought Kanan was fantastic as well. Even the battle scenes, watching him turn into the father figure for Ezra, watching his relationship with Hera develop as well, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. With all the comments and that come out from him, the more I delved into it, the more I understood and got his point of view, which he has got some valid points. Obviously, we'll go into that later on. But as a whole, I love Kanan. I thought it was brilliant.
I've recently watched Rebels. I think we just watched it last year. And I really like Kanan. I like his attitude, his snootiness towards Ezra, but he's also super mature. Until he gets whacked in the face with a lightsaber, and then he's got freaky face for a bit. Which I might add, in the Battle Scars book, Cal Kestis gets hit in the face with a lightsaber, and all he gets is a little scar across his nose. Okay, Let's just point that out. But as we know, Cal Kestis is extremely force powered. So, but yeah, I really like Kanan. It kind of makes me sad that the voice actor is being all negative about it. But I mean, you guys know more about it than me. Yeah.
Well, when you read when I saw the article, I was like, man, I can't believe he said this stuff. But if you go and you watch the video, he was Freddie Prinze Jr. says, I was asked to voice Kanan in the Bad Batch, so he comes back and
does he
voices
actually?
the young Kanan that will. Yes, they come in he voices it. I'm sure they do something with the voice to make him sound younger. But he does that. He also shows up in the Rise of Skywalker finale with all the voices that are talking to him. He, he's one of the voices. And when he was asked to do this, he says that he feels that every time you hear Kanan's voice, it kind of dilutes his impact. He says he didn't want to do episode 9. I was asked for a favor, but I feel like their favors are all used up. And his big thing is that he feels that because, spoiler warning, he sacrifices himself for the rebels, the rest of the group, and he feels that every time that he's seen or heard, that it takes away from his sacrifice. Yeah. And I kind of wanted to dive into that. Me personally, I think that I wouldn't want to see anything post that event, and I won't tell you what season it happens in case you haven't seen it. It'll be a big surprise. But I think that hearing his voice in The Rise of Skywalker was amazing. Like, why wouldn't his voice be one of the Jedi that comes back? I think it would have been cool for Cal Kestis' voice. I don't know. Was Cal's voice? Did his voice come in? No. Okay. So then, you had Ahsoka, and you had some random people from the movies come back. Well, what do you guys think? Do you think every time we hear his voice or we see his character,
I get his point. I get his
it
point.
dilutes?
I think he's just very passionate with his character as well, because it was such a big sacrifice at that point in time in Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
But also, what's poignant as well is the fact that what he did is exactly the same what Grogu did in the season finale of The Mandalorian as well.
Yeah.
So that's quite a big connection point, if you like. Hearing his voice every now and again, I sort of get where he's going with it. And like you said, you see more of the videos, you see that he is actually just really, really passionate. He's not just saying it just for the sake of it, out of spite or anything like that. I think what he means is how his voice is used in terms of the character itself, because it was like his big hurrah, and it was a big scene. It was a big sacrifice, and like I said earlier, you're leading up to that point. You're watching his relationship develop with Ezra and Hera, and like the Jedi way is that they don't share love or anything like that. But he really started to get close to Hera, just when you thought, as always with Star Wars, someone's getting somewhere. I
really don't. I don't think it dilutes anything about his character. Like, it's like, oh, I heard him again. Oh, I'm sick of hearing him. No, I don't think so at all. I think the fact that it's not super obvious that it's his voice in episode 9 either. So like half of the people who went and saw that movie probably hadn't seen Rebels. I mean, maybe they have since then because it's kind of blending back into stuff. But like, I'm sorry, but half of us didn't even know it was Kanan talking to Rey. So that didn't dilute anything for me. And then I think the other half of the people that did the little research, like, oh, was it actually him, or who were the voices? Oh, it was Kanan. Awesome. I do not think that it dilutes his character at all. We still understand his sacrifice. Like, we still get it. But I mean, does that mean that all the Jedi that are talking to Rey also are like, they've diluted their effect on things? Like, no, I don't think so. Like, does that mean every time Luke comes back, it's diluted? Or like Obi-Wan comes back as a Force ghost? Is that like saying that it's diluting his awesome character? No, you're a Jedi. Jedi come back as Force ghosts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally part of the story. Like, I don't know. That part of it, I think he's over top. Yeah.
I was excited. I was excited when I saw, found out it was his voice in The Rise of Skywalker. I was excited to see him in, I believe he's a little cameo in the final season of Clone Wars as well, because he's by his master around the table, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he says anything, but seeing Caleb Doom
you're right.
there, I mean, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, man, that was him. And then, seeing him again, I know they retconned the comic. We're not going to get into that, but seeing him again in Bad Batch, I was kind of pumped to see it. And I've always kind of wanted to see a Cal Kestis and Caleb Doom like growing up in the Jedi Temple together. And I think if you do it right, you sit there and you look at Andor. His sacrifice at the end of Rogue One is probably going to mean even more to people now that they're going to spend, another 2 seasons or whatever, another season with him. So you'll have 2 seasons of Andor. So you go back and you watch Rogue One after you finish Andor season 2. I think those sacrifices mean more. So there's ways to, and I see what he's doing. I also think he's trying to shut it down, that he's not going to be.
Which would lead you on to the next question.
Like, I think he was trying to put that to rest.
Is there some resentment or bitterness?
Yeah.
If he's not been asked to come back to Ahsoka.
But none of the voice actors are coming back. They're new actors. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Sabine Wren was voiced by Gia Sakar, I believe, and she's not coming back. Really, Katie Sackhoff, I think, is the only voice actor who's made the jump from animation to live action, if I'm correct. I mean, I'd have to research that. I mean, obviously, because
I think so.
Jon Favreau's character is different than who he plays in, because he plays Pre Vizsla, I believe, in the Clone Wars. But I think she might be the only one who's actually made the jump, because, of all the outcry. I'm not going to get into, should have Ashley Eckstein been Ahsoka or all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, could have Freddie Prinze Jr. played Kanan. Do you think they could have doctored him up? I mean, half his face would be covered with a shield. Put some hair. Yeah, I don't know. I just, I wonder. He does. His comments do sound kind of salty. If you watch the video, which I said I'll have linked in the you can see it. I do think it's come from a place of passion. He is a very passionate guy. A few years ago, he went on a tear and just shredded some people about their attitudes towards Star Wars, and it's pretty hilarious. But the language isn't necessarily for our channel. But if you can go find that, and just to kind of see, like, and you have all that put together, it kind of gives you a better view.
Maybe he's a Pisces.
There is one actor that went from the animation to live, which you can sort of get, and that's Zeb.
Oh yeah, but still,
Chopper, to be fair.
But it's like still voice, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Chopper. That's true.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, I mean, you can say the voice has traveled, but I mean, they're also going to stuff Dave Filoni into, like they did to Kenny Baker.
Could you imagine?
Chopper.
I love Chopper.
But I think, I'm excited to see that droid live action and see what kind.
Well, he's in Rogue One for like a split second. Him. Just like in the background. I think Hera is too, but I think it might just be them saying her over the comms.
Ghost in Rogue One quite a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, in Rogue One they announce a call for General Syndulla, and then you see Chopper zip by, and then of course they have R2 and C-3PO there, and then end of TROS. At the end of TROS and in Rogue One,
2 or 3 times in Rogue One. So there's a scene where it's coming away from the base, Yavin base, and then you see it. I'm sure you see it in flight, and one of the battles where it goes across.
Yeah, every way you try to pause it, it's always blurry, but you know it's them. You know it's them.
So let's say we'll wrap this up here in a minute, but something just popped into my head. So let's say.
I know what you're about to say. I was just thinking this. Okay, go for it.
Right. What do you have a holocron voice by Freddie Prinze Jr. talking
Oh,
to his son? Like, does that, I mean, I don't think that dilutes anything. That's going to bring tears to people's eyes hearing Kanan talk to, because Kanan, I think it seems like in the Rebels, he kind of has a
yeah.
premonition that how things are going to end for him. So does he record a message for his son that he's not going to get to meet? I think
No.
that would not dilute Kanan's sacrifice. I think it would be like the end of Tross with Harrison Ford showing up.
I
and
know.
talking to Ben. Right. I don't cry very often, but I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa, that,
And then
that
there's
might
me
hit
just
me.
bawling and everything. But like, what would also be cool is if he played Jason's voice or something like that. Like, I mean, obviously they're gonna have a live action actor, but if they like mix their voices a little bit to kind of sound like Kanan, because it is his son, right? But no, that's gonna be cool. And like, is he always gonna have like green hair, or is he gonna start growing like head nubs?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to. I personally
No,
don't
I
think
think
that
it's
we're going to
gonna be
see
a little
Jason
too
Segula at
complicated.
all. I would love to, but you're going to have a lot of people asking some serious questions. But
It won't happen. It won't happen.
you don't think
But
it'll
if
happen?
it did,
I think we'll see Jason Segula, but I don't think we'll hear any Kanan voice.
yeah.
Well, from the article, it sounds like we're not going to. But what we were thinking is, he talks about diluting the character, but I feel like if you see Jason Segula open up a holocron and his dad's voice comes out and starts talking to him, there's not going to be a dry eye in the house.
You imagine as well. Oh, I'm already like picturing scenes of where like he's got his dad's lightsaber as well or something.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but that will wrap up this topic. I know, Taylor, you got some shout outs for some of our listeners.
Shout outs. I'll start with one. So we have Luke Summerfield gave us a lovely shout saying our first episode was great. No, you're great. Thank you. We have Sean Hudson said he listened to our show whilst in the shower, and it was like having all three of us in the shower with him. And I mean, we're great at getting those hard to reach places. Don't get me wrong. We'll be in the shower with you next week, Sean. And Michelle on Facebook says, thank you to my cousin for sharing my love of Star Wars. Love you, Michelle. Well, that's it for this week. For Light and Life.
I'm one with the Force.
Not
the Force
and.
is with
Not
me.
and.
Oh, too soon. And for all of us,
see
we
you guys
have
next
spoken.
week. Don't forget to send us messages and comments.
See you later.
Love you all.
Awesome.